start off with my game. Fuck my game. Fuck it. Stupid ass. I was playing against Crows Before Hoes, Caleb Lay. So it's Clever Girl versus Crows Before Hoes. So I'll start off with my team. Eli Manning, 362 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, and like 4 fucking interceptions. He's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns, and he's a dumb mouth breather. A big piece of shit. Reggie Wayne, relatively non-existent in this as well, but Indianapolis didn't do very good against Miami. I pretty much got all of my points from Pierre Garçon and Greg Olsen, which is sad. And both of my starting running backs got hurt because football gods hate me. It's obvious every year. And Caleb's team, Aaron Rodgers went off, but Aaron Rodgers goes off probably every week, usually. He rarely has bad games. His 2 starting receivers, I would say fairly non-existent. Larry Fitzgerald has a hurt hamstring, so he only played for like 2 quarters. He only got 4 points. Cecil Shorts got 13. He's got a shitty quarterback throwing to him, and he's on a shitty team, so, His running backs did well. Arian Foster and Noshawn Marino both got a lot of points. Antonio Gates, he did decent. A lot better than he usually is in games. Deshaun Jackson got fucking 30 points. This is the only person Michael Vick throws it to. He's got 9 receptions, 193 yards. Piece of shit. Yeah. And Denver defense did great, but also they picked off my quarterback like fucking 15 times. Our game outcome probably wouldn't have changed at all. Because even if I had a running back on the bench do 14, DeAndre Hopkins did 20 points, and Greg Jennings got 10 points, but still, Caleb's team just went off. They all did really well except for 2 of his receivers. But he doesn't have anyone that he would have started over them anyway. So, that's that. We'll go to Tim Dingus and Zach Hamilton. So, Tim Dingus, what a fucking faggot. What a piece of shit. But he won. And I liked him, I'm joking. So he won 106 to 98. Poor Zach is 0-2. Poor guy. Zach had Drew Brees, who was relatively non-existent. He got 12 points. Cam Newton did better than him in between the 2. Cam Newton got 16. Let's see who did the best. Jamal Charles did real well for Zach, but, that didn't happen to the end of the game. T.Y. Hilton got some good points. His running backs his other running back, Richardson, from St. Louis, got 10 points. It's not terrible. Tony Gonzalez is actually only 5 points, didn't do very well, which is kind of weird to see. Usually he has a touchdown. Both their defenses did well. Baltimore and Cincinnati both put up over 10 points. Pretty much Tim's team was Cam Newton, Julio Jones, and Williams for Carolina, which, this was kind of a shitty game, because even with my 2 running backs, being out, I would have beat Zach, and only been 4 points away from beating Tim, so, just a shitty game all around, whatever. We're going to shoot over to Kenny and Travis. Kenny also had a shitty game, apparently. I would have beat Kenny as well. He only has 95 points. And fucking Travis has 142. Shit. And Travis has Tom Brady. Tom Brady did awful. In that game, I didn't get to watch, but apparently everyone had Butterfingers in it. We'll do quarterback comparison. Matt Stafford, he always does pretty well. He had 278 passing yards, 2 passing TDs. Tom Brady, 185 passing yards and 1 pass TD. And then, of course, the infamous scream that everyone has been seeing on TV. You got that from that game, too. Their receivers, Andre Johnson from Houston only got 11 points. I don't remember when he got out of the game for the concussion, but he obviously didn't do a whole lot in that game. DeAndre Hopkins got a lot of the receptions in it. Jordy Nelson got 20 points. That's Jordy Nelson. He'll usually end up going off a few games a year. Vincent Jackson and Heartland did about the same. Doug Martin, Alfred Morris, about the same. Maurice Jones-Drew did absolutely nothing, apparently. 27 rushing yards and 1 reception. What a waste of time. And Bell from Detroit got more points than Maurice Jones-Drew. Holy shit. And then the tight ends, Witten, 2.70 points. That's stunningly low for Witten, but that was a weird game if you watched it. It was just weird. And then fucking Jimmy Graham, 28 points, 30 points with a tight end. You don't see that happen a whole lot. It's 10 receptions, 179 fucking yards. What the hell? They only throw it to him? I didn't even watch that game. Then their flexes were Edelman and Decker, which Edelman did better than Decker, but they did about the same. The kickers are exactly the same, 12 points each. Dallas and Seattle. Well, Seattle got 24.50 points. What the fuck? So Travis's team was Jordy Nelson, Jimmy Graham, and the Seattle defense this week. His fucking quarterback was useless, and the rest of his team was as well. We shoot over to the Brits that played each other. This is the British Bowl. Let's see. So, Blomo, I guess it's a gay remark on Romo, I guess. Yeah. And you got Can I Pick a Punter? Yeah, if you want to. But Blomo's 0-2. Can I Pick a Punter's 2-0. We saw this last year. There's obviously one dominant British guy in the league and then one that suffers. You got Peyton Manning, of course, 20 points, that's a given. Tony Romo had a 14-point game. It's not awful. He had almost 300 passing yards and a passing touchdown. Peyton Manning had 307 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Des Bryant and fucking Cobb, Randall Cobb, I think. I always want to call him Roger Cobb, but that's not right. Randall Cobb. They both had 23 to 24 points because they both have 9 receptions. One has 141 yards, and the other one has 128. You got Dwayne Bowe and Wes Welker have about the same. They didn't do a whole lot in their games, but then when you start looking at their running backs, it's fucking crazy. Rashawn McCoy has 20 points. Adrian Peterson has 9. Reggie Bush has 8 points. And he played Wilson, David Wilson from New York. He has 1.70 points. This guy beat Blomo by 20 points, and he barely got 10 points between his 2 running backs. That's fucking crazy. But then again, Brent Selleck has 0 points. He got injured. And Cameron, his Can I Pick a Punter's tight end, got 12 points. It's a decent game. But 0 hurts. Then their flexes are Brown and Wallace. Wallace, of course, had his first game. He actually showed up, 22 points. Brown had 8.7. It's not too different, but, Kickers comparison, Matt Bryant's on Can I Pick a Punter? He had 7, and Tucker had 2 on Blomo. Houston defense had 12.50 points, and New England had 19.5. So, Blomo really didn't have that terrible of a game, like when you look at the comparison, but once you hit to 0 points on the tight end, that fucks you in a 20-point loss. Because even if he would have got like 10, it wouldn't have looked that bad. So, yeah. Give or take. We'll go to Ghostface Killers and Doctors of Defense. So this is Colton and Jeff. Colton's 2-0. It's his first year in the league. He's obviously a ringer, and he's lied to us all these years. And he watches football every day. He just TiVos it and fucking watches it all the time. But we'll look at their quarterbacks. You got Andrew Luck and Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's on Jeff's team. Andrew Luck got 18. Matt Ryan got 22. Not a massive difference. But Colton did win 132 to 119 overall. Brandon Marshall had 20 points on Colton's team. Then you got Calvin Johnson had 26 on Jeff's team. So their top one receivers kind of match up. And then you got Victor Cruz on Colton's that had 15.8 because he's the only fucking guy that Eli Manning seems to complete passes to. And then you got Hakeem Nicks that has 10 points. He had 4 receptions, so he's the other guy that gets the ball. And then on Colton's team, you have fucking Marshawn Lynch that was literally the only person scoring anything in that game, which was an awful game to watch. It was a terrible game. I fell asleep during it. But Marshawn Lynch ended with 33 points, 98 rushing yards, and 2 rushing TDs. And I'm pretty sure he has a reception TD, though, because he had like a screen pass, I thought. Then you got Trent Richardson, who has been kind of low-key all year for the past 2 games. He had 10 points. He got traded to Indy, which might up his value a little bit, because the Browns fucking suck. And you got Bradshaw on Colton's team. Poor Bradshaw is going to be worth absolute dick probably now that Richardson's over there. He got 15.90 points. You know, not bad. Especially for that old-ass guy. His foot's always hurt. You got DeMarco Murray on Jeff's team, 9 points. That's not that great of a game for DeMarco Murray. Jared Cook, 1.50 points. And he had like 30 last week. He only got 1 reception for 10 yards. Yeah. So he was a waste of time this past week. Then you got Davis from San Francisco, got 3.50 points. San Francisco looked like shit. It was the first time I ever thought their offense really looked terrible. But, I mean, I guess going to Seattle and playing against them would do that. Colston on Colton's team got 4 receptions for 63 yards for 8 points. You know, it wasn't that big. But then you had Tavon Austin on Jeff's team. He got 20 points. Their kickers did completely different. Bailey, which is Dallas's kicker on Colton's team, got 14. And Akers, Detroit's kicker, got 3 points. I can't remember if I'm right, but I think I remember hearing that he had missed a few. So, you know, that's pretty shitty. Might as well just cut that kicker. I'm pretty sure he was missing stuff last year, too. Their defenses, St. Louis got 5 points, which isn't great, and San Francisco got 10 points, which is actually good, considering. So, overall, Colton didn't win by a whole lot, but I guess he just had more players that did decent. And so, I mean, the kicker score and tight end score really hurt Jeff. But other than that, he just kept getting a few points. I mean, Marshawn Lynch, of course, was the deciding factor in this game, but fuck that guy. And then we're getting to the last game, which is Sloppy Seconds, Josh Timms, and Mad Hatter Ryan. Now, this game wasn't even close at all. Like, Josh Timms could actually set a few guys and still won. Because it ended at 105 to 68. Ryan's team, his quarterback got 10 points. His number 1 receiver, Lance Moore, got 2 points. Smith got 7 points. Stephen Ridley, which is just a... Fuck that guy. I don't even think he has 10 points for the season yet. He only has 4 points in this game. You got Chris Johnson from Tennessee. He got 10 points. It's not terrible. You expect more out of him because he used to be so explosive, but now he's just fucking old or something. I don't know. Owen Daniels got 9 points. It's not bad for your tight end. Frank Gore, Ryan's flex, only had 3 points. That's rough. His Kiki Goskowski got 7 points. It's not bad for a kicker. And his defense got 14, which isn't bad. But Ryan's receivers just fucking did awful. And his running backs got 14 points between the two. I mean, that's as bad as mine. And mine got injured. one got injured in the first quarter, and the other one got injured in like the third or fourth, and I still had like almost 14 points with them. Let me look at his bench. I mean, yeah, he had Gresham, Flacco, Cutler. He's got 2 quarterbacks on his bench. He's got Bess and Green Bay defense. He has 2 defenses. Look at Josh Tim's team. He had Kaepernick, which had fucking the worst game ever, 5.78 points. When he was projected 19, he had 127 passing yards and 3 interceptions. I feel your pain, man. I got Eli Manning. He throws a lot of fucking interceptions. Then you have Torrey Smith, who got 12 points total, which I guess isn't too bad. Torrey Smith. He's like their number 1 target, though. They're just... Baltimore's not doing too hot. Mike Williams went off of a week of having good points to a week of having no points. He has 1.90 points. CJ Spiller actually had a decent game, 103 rushing yards and 3 receptions for 13 points. You kind of expect more out of him, or at least all the projections expect more, but I guess he's getting there. That's better than his first week. Forte actually had a really good game. Forte had a good game the first week when I played Josh Timms. 88 rushing yards and 10 receptions, ended with 19 points. That's really good. And Forte, I can't remember if Forte was that hot last year or not, but he's starting the season really well. Finley, 15.50 points on Green Bay, 6 receptions, 65 yards. He's also, with Green Bay, that tight end just randomly will get a lot of points, even though I think he has a touchdown in both games so far this season, but last year he was fucking useless. Darren McFadden, 129 rushing yards and 4 receptions, 15 points, which is a very strong flex. I guess everyone just really passed on him this year thinking he was not going to be healthy, which happens to him a lot. But with Pryor taking a lot of runs, he might stay healthy all season. And you got Nugent, their kicker from Cincinnati, got 2 points, and Oakland's defense 13 points. Not terrible for a defense. When you look at the matchups, quarterbacks, Ryan won that, and then receivers, Ryan got blown out pretty much. Besides Williams, only with 1 point, pretty rough. Running backs got just blown out of the water. I mean, 19 points and 13 points for Josh Timms, and 4 points and 10 points for Ryan. I mean, CJ Spiller almost had that exact same amount of points. So just one player equaled up to 2 of his running backs. So that's where he lost, just comparing the flexes and running backs. It's a massive point difference. I mean, Matt Forte got more than all 3 of the running backs on Ryan's starting list. So that's the week 2